Hi, and welcome back to my channel. For those who are new to my channel, my name is Jose. I do what I like to coin I call it micro astrology. So I work with over 150 asteroids. And yes, I'm showing off when I'm doing that because I'm very proud of the work I do. I've been doing that research on each one with so much detail, like a lot. Like, I mean, just one asteroid alone is like the detail is about, again, yes, to brag a little bit, about, it depends on the research, maybe about 3 to 5, maybe up to 10 pages, single space. Yeah. So my little research that I've done is I have this thing that's over 800 pages, but that's not what we're here for. So what I wanted to talk about today is when it comes to things like that's something that came to me today. I was talking to, um, let's just call him my guy. Okay. I don't want to add labels to it, but uh, so it's very Plutonian. For those who know Pluto, who work with Pluto, great. You understand Pluto, but there's something about this idea of trauma or suffering or just general suffering itself. That we don't want to suffer. As humans, we don't like that whole thing. We don't like to go back into the trauma. We don't like to go into the whole, like, oh, it's painful and that stuff. But one thing I learned about trauma or suffering itself is that because I've been in constant exposure to it, it literally raises awareness for me. It literally does. Like, um, this constant reminder that when I'm doing my thing, like for example, when I'm eating, like the food that I cook, it's low sodium, or rather, I follow like a strict diet, it's like between 1200 to 1500 milligrams of sodium a day. And so what happens with that is that people are just like, why do you measure and stuff? Well, because I need to maintain that. So in order to be precise, in order to make sure it's there, I know it's a bit of like a power thing, like, a control thing, but it's not control anymore because I don't really, like, I'm just aware of it. It's become this habit. So when something like that is become consistent or constant, it's this thing that becomes, how do you call this? A habit. And so what happens is it actually becomes a comfortable part of your life. And so even the food that I eat for me has already a lot of flavor. For others who would be new to it, they'd be like, "Ugh," they're not used to it right away. So there's a resistance right away because it's like there's not a lot of flavor. But actually, if you look at it, everything, like if you look at uh, paleo diets and all that stuff today, even the way people ate back then, I'm pretty sure, okay, because we don't exactly know what happened. You don't really know exact precise sodium. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they do it now. I don't know the research behind it. That it was a little bland back then, right? So, but who's to say that we need, like there's this thing where it's like, oh, we need sodium. It's like, yes, we do need sodium, but how much of it do we really need? Do we really, really know? Yes, there's research on it, but do we know? I can only speak from my experience that when it comes to, like, say, my diet, um, and it's this become this sort of, it went from this whole thing where it's like, oh no, because I used to do that too. And near the beginning, I was just like, oh, this is so bland. Ugh. But then I compensated for it. The body adjusted. The body adapted. It's a very natural thing. Right. So all we got to do is just adapt to something. Sometimes, because we're so afraid of new things, we're so afraid of change. But once you get into that change, it becomes a habit. Like recently, I just started, what do you call this? Like when I hug my parents, for example, I don't go change my clothes anymore. I don't go shower. I don't do any of those things because of the things they touch. I do sort of still spray here and there. I do that, but I'm not as concerned about it. So I'm slightly adjusting to it. So maybe adapting doesn't necessarily mean like sudden quick change, but maybe it's gradual change. So change is still there. So, right. So, but particularly when it comes to suffering, this concept, this notion of suffering, that it doesn't have to be suffering. It can be a way, a direction that leads us into a part of our path that leads us into realizing that it's like, are you tired of playing the victim? Are you tired of playing the victim? I know I did. So I stopped playing the victim. I just said, like, fuck it. I'm no, I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna surrender. And then I got wisdom from that. So one example is like when I'm getting gout, like it's painful, but because I've become so I don't get it often. I haven't I have gout, but I remember the same sensation. But because I've learned to surrender to other types of suffering, right? Yeah, let's call it that. Let's not let's call the kettle black. It's suffering. But it's not necessarily suffering, it's pain. This the Buddha said, the pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So I got tired of playing the victim. It's just like, and there's this constant reminder sometimes, or being like a test, so to speak, like a lesson that I have to learn. It's like, do I still want to play the victim? When this came back the first night, I was just like, I cried, but then I was just like, I just breathed through it. It's like, what am I crying for? And it's okay. And that's still okay. I still cried and let it out. But then it came quickly, you know, it just breezed by. And it's like, okay, that's okay. I acknowledged myself. I had compassion. That's the other thing too. Suffering, when you start realizing that you no longer have to suffer, because resistance to the experience is what causes the suffering, meaning we're just like saying, I don't want to experience this. I want to stay the way it was before. But there's a reminder that what we're getting that's so-called new is a reminder to go back into, because the body is just, all it is something, something simple as like health stuff. Like I used to eat so much stuff like a lot high sodium diet, high caffeine, high sugar, whatever. I used to do that. I was like overweight. I'm still kind of, I think I'm still overweight. Maybe, I don't know, maybe more. But I'm not, I feel better. At least, the very least, I feel so much better because of the changes that have happened. Like, do I miss the high sodium stuff? No, no. In fact, it's just too salty. When I have food that's too salty or it tastes too salty, it's disgusting because it's too much. It's too. So I mean, it's not to say that I can't have high sodium stuff. I just measure it so that I know how much I put in. But at the expense of when I go back to like higher sodium somewhere, if I were to go back to that, it's at the expense of my health. And that's not real comfort for me. Real comfort doesn't always come in a form of or in the guise of something that I'm used to. Comfort could come in a different form as well. We think that comfort is just like, oh, it's just stability thing. This thing that we're just so used to. It's this thing that's been, right? But that's the thing about nature. If you look at nature, the reason why many people in the cities are scared of the nature or scared of nature or scared going out or something like that, or they're not used is because they're not used to that unpredictability. And I can vouch for that. I understand. But if there's anything that's telling me, it's just like one, actually, I don't want to live in the city anymore because it's not that because it's too comfortable. It's more like I don't feel at peace with the false comfort. It's false comfort because it doesn't make me shine. It makes me depend on something else, a system that's not even, it's on its own consistent. At the very least, when it comes to things that are natural in nature, the way it has always been, we've only had technology and been in modern society for only maybe what, 5,000 years? The million years that this planet has lived, billion years actually, it's always been unpredictable. So why? So going back to what I just said, I digressed a little bit there. It's I'd rather be in nature because I know that at least nature is consistently unpredictable, if that makes sense. Right. So this is the thing I've learned about. And this ties into many things in your chart. So if you have, I'm tying this to astrology, yes. So whenever you have placements like specifically Pluto, that's where you're being taught to be honest with yourself and look at the suffering. There's other stuff too. There's the dark asteroids like Nessus. You have the asteroid. It's a centaur actually. There's also Lilith, right? That's shadow work. There's also many things. Any square aspects in your chart, those are challenging things. But sometimes we ignore that. We have to learn from that because otherwise the lesson keeps repeating itself. Chiron is another one too. But there's many things. When people look at astrology right away, they want to look at the comfortable aspects, even among what's called the hard aspects, the square, conjunctions, oppositions. Conjunction is one that people tend to like, oh, that's kind of comfortable. It goes along with it. It's like two cars moving in the same direction, like a parallel to each other, right? Or people look at trines, it's like, oh yeah, it's comfortable. I'm gonna follow that. I don't like squares, but it's like, but when we're in resistance to something that will make us stronger. The thing is, sometimes it's okay not to be strong. The point is, it's not about being strong either. It's about strong in a way that is, um, it's resilience. Like, how do you explain like, why evolution has been, when how animals have evolved to, let's say, develop, you know, poison or venom or toxins, because that is part of that. Right, it's been passed on to generation through generation after generation after generation after generation for millions of years. So the same thing can happen with us. We don't adapt to the change, we'll be stuck in, right, stagnancy. You know what happens to stagnant water, as an example? Anything that remains stagnant, it's not because it's still, it's too still. Same thing with the opposite, right? Something that consistently changes what is it called? Atrophy, destruction. So right? So we have to have a balance of both. So change is a part of living. Change is a part of existence itself. So at least with nature, for me, change is it's consistently and constantly unpredictable, and I'd rather be there than in the cities. Not that I don't like the cities. There's great stuff. There's wonderful technology that's come along. There's wonderful technologies that we made, but it's I can't. It doesn't work with me. So that's my thing. So suffering can be a form of knowledge and a form of wisdom, form of growing. It's growth. So when we remain stagnant and it's just all la-di-da and comfortable, we're just sitting here. How is that growing? That doesn't feed the heart. That doesn't feed anything. In fact, that creates more diseases. Right. So, and this is an example of me getting gout. I'm just like, oh, I've been like, for the past few months, I've been living a mostly sedentary kind of lifestyle, and I'm getting tired of it. And when this is healed, I'm doing my thing. I'm doing my walks. I'm still doing my workouts a little bit, as much as I can. But I need a bit more balance with the activity and all that stuff. So I'm listening to the body. That's what the suffering is teaching me. So constantly growing. That's a beautiful thing. Anyways, thank you for listening to me. Thank you very much for this. I feel like the background. But anyways, I'll see you when I see you. Like and subscribe. If you have any comments, please share with me your experiences when it comes to suffering. Um, Remember, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So write in the comments down below if you have anything to say about that, whatever your experiences are. But that's it for now. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Thank you very much. I'm looking at something else. I'll see you guys later. Thank you. Bye bye.